Welcome to our journey through one of the most dramatic stories in ancient history, the 10 Plagues of Egypt. A tale woven into the fabric of time, passed down through generations, echoing with power and mystery. It is a story of divine intervention, of a people's struggle for freedom, and the lengths to which even the mightiest empires will go to maintain control. Join us as we explore each plague that struck Egypt, as described in the biblical book of Exodus. We will delve into the historical context, examine potential scientific explanations, and explore the profound impact these events had on the ancient world. Was it a clash of wills between a powerful pharaoh and a determined Moses? Or a series of catastrophic natural disasters that forever shaped the fate of nations? Fasten your seatbelts and prepare to journey back in time as we attempt to unravel the enigma of the 10 Plagues of Egypt. Imagine, if you will, the lifeline of a civilization, the mighty Nile River suddenly transformed, no longer a source of life and sustenance but a flowing current of crimson. The Egyptians revered the Nile, it was their lifeblood, their provider. To see it turn to blood, a substance associated with death and sacrifice, would have been nothing short of terrifying. The Bible tells us that this was the first plague visited upon Egypt. The water, once pure and life-giving, became undrinkable, foul-smelling and thick with the color of death. Fish died, crops withered, and the stench of decay permeated the air. While some scholars propose that the blood could have been caused by red algae blooms, which can deplete oxygen and turn the water a reddish hue, others point to the symbolic nature of the event. Blood in many cultures represents life force, vitality. Could this plague have been a direct attack on the very essence of Egypt's power and prosperity? A stark warning that their control over life and death was an illusion? Whatever the cause, the Nile, once a symbol of abundance, had become a harbinger of doom. If the Nile turning to blood was a shock, the second plague would have been a grotesque spectacle. Picture this: the land, already reeling from the poisoned river, becomes inundated with a living carpet of frogs. They're everywhere. These weren't just croaking in the marshes and along the riverbanks. They invaded homes, kitchens, bedrooms. Even the pharaoh's palace was not spared. The Egyptians, accustomed to a certain level of harmony with nature, found themselves overwhelmed by this amphibian invasion. The text describes the frogs as coming upon thee, and upon thy people, and upon all thy servants. This was not just an environmental disaster, it was a personal intrusion, a violation of their homes and lives. Could this plague be explained by an ecological imbalance, perhaps triggered by the contaminated water? Or was it a deliberate demonstration of power, a reminder that even the smallest creatures could be wielded as instruments of divine judgment? Whatever the explanation, the plague of frogs serves as a stark reminder of the fragility of our existence, and the ease with which the natural world can be turned against us. Imagine a relentless itch, an irritation that burrows beneath your skin, defying all attempts at relief. Now imagine that itch multiplied a millionfold, spreading like wildfire through the population. This was the torment inflicted by the third plague, lice. Tiny, tenacious, and utterly maddening, lice infested the Egyptians, their livestock. Even the very dust of the land seemed to crawl. They were everywhere, a constant, prickling reminder of the power that was arrayed against them. The Bible describes the lice as coming out of the dust of the earth, emphasizing their sudden and overwhelming presence. This plague, perhaps more than any other, highlights the interconnectedness of humans, animals, and the environment. The infestation would have impacted every aspect of Egyptian life, from personal hygiene to religious rituals to the very fabric of their society. While some scholars suggest that the lice could have been gnats, fleas, or other biting insects, the effect remains the same: a relentless assault on their physical comfort and mental well-being. It was a plague that brought discomfort to every level of society, from the lowliest peasant to the pharaoh himself. The fourth plague brought a terror of a different kind. Imagine the balance of nature, the delicate equilibrium between humanity and the wild, suddenly shattered. This was the plague of wild animals, a terrifying display of nature's untamed fury. While the specific animals are not named in the Bible, scholars speculate that it could have been anything from lions and leopards to poisonous snakes and swarms of stinging insects. Whatever the creatures, their presence would have been terrifying. This plague struck at the heart of Egypt's sense of order and control. No longer were they masters of their domain, but vulnerable prey in a world suddenly gone mad. The impact on daily life would have been devastating. Fields and homes were no longer safe, travel became perilous, and fear, primal and consuming, gripped the land. Was this plague a result of ecological disruption caused by the previous plagues, or was it a deliberate unleashing of nature's fury, a stark reminder that even the mightiest empires are subject to the whims of the natural world? Whatever the answer, the plague of wild animals serves as a chilling reminder of the raw power that lies just beyond the borders of civilization. The fifth plague struck a blow to the heart of Egypt's livelihood, their livestock. Imagine watching helplessly as your animals, your source of food, income, and even companionship, sicken and die. This was the agonizing reality of the Plague of Pestilence. This plague was different from the others. It wasn't a dramatic, in-your-face assault, but a silent, insidious killer. The text describes a grievous murrain, a disease so virulent it decimated the herds and flocks of Egypt. Horses, cattle, sheep, goats, even camels, all fell victim to this devastating plague. The economic impact of this plague cannot be overstated. Livestock represented wealth, sustenance, and status in ancient Egypt. To lose them on such a massive scale would have been catastrophic, leading to food shortages, economic instability, and widespread despair. Was this plague a result of contaminated water or infected insects? Or was it a targeted attack on Egypt's economic foundation, a way to weaken their resolve and demonstrate the true source of their prosperity? Whatever the explanation, the Plague of Pestilence serves as a stark reminder of the delicate balance between humans and animals, and the devastating consequences when that balance is disrupted. The sixth plague was as agonizing as it was humiliating. Imagine your skin, your protective barrier against the world, erupting in painful, festering boils. This was the torment inflicted upon the Egyptians, a plague that attacked not just their bodies but their very sense of self. The Bible describes blains breaking forth with blains upon man and beast, a vivid description of the excruciating pain and disfigurement caused by these boils. The Egyptians, known for their emphasis on cleanliness and hygiene, would have been horrified by this affliction. This plague transcended social status. No one was immune. From the pharaoh in his palace to the slaves toiling in the fields, all suffered the burning agony of these open sores. It was a plague that brought home the shared vulnerability of humanity, regardless of wealth or power. Could this plague have been caused by anthrax, smallpox, or some other highly contagious disease? Or was it a more symbolic affliction, a physical manifestation of the spiritual sickness that gripped the land? Whatever the cause, the plague of boils serves as a stark reminder of the fragility of our physical forms and the ease with which disease can spread through a population, leaving suffering and despair in its wake. The seventh plague brought a new level of destruction. Imagine a storm of biblical proportions, a relentless onslaught of hail and fire tearing through the sky. This was the Plague of Hail, a display of raw, elemental power that left a trail of devastation in its wake. The Bible describes a very grievous hail, such as had not been in Egypt since the foundation thereof, even until now. This wasn't your average hailstorm. The text tells of fire mingled with the hail, a terrifying spectacle that would have illuminated the sky with an eerie, otherworldly glow. This plague was indiscriminate in its fury. Crops were shredded, trees uprooted, homes and buildings battered and destroyed. The hail, described as stones, would have been large enough to injure people and animals, adding to the chaos and terror. Could this catastrophic storm have been a meteorological anomaly, a freak occurrence fueled by unusual weather patterns? Or was it a deliberate act of divine power, a display of nature's fury unleashed upon those who defied the will of God? Whatever the explanation, the Plague of Hail serves as a chilling reminder of the awesome power of nature and the vulnerability of even the most advanced civilizations in the face of such unbridled force. The eighth plague brought a different kind of devastation, one that targeted the very source of Egypt's sustenance. Imagine the sky darkening, not with storm clouds but with a living blanket of locusts. They're buzzing a symphony of impending doom. The Bible describes them as a very grievous locust, a vast swarm that devoured everything in its path. What the hail had left standing the locusts consumed. They descended upon the fields, stripping them bare. Trees were left skeletal, their leaves devoured down to the veins. This plague was a relentless assault on Egypt's ability to feed itself. The locusts, with their insatiable appetites, represented a living embodiment of famine, devouring not just crops but hope itself. Could this plague be explained by unusual wind patterns carrying locust swarms far from their usual migratory paths? Or was it a deliberate manipulation of nature, a way to bring Egypt to its knees through starvation and economic collapse? Whatever the answer, the Plague of Locusts serves as a stark reminder of the delicate balance of ecosystems and the devastating consequences when that balance is disrupted. The ninth plague was a psychological torture unlike any other. Imagine a darkness so profound, so absolute, that it seemed to smother the very air you breathed. This was the Plague of Darkness, a tangible, suffocating gloom that descended upon Egypt for 3 long days and nights. The Bible describes this darkness as a darkness which may be felt, a palpable entity that went beyond the absence of light. It was a darkness that seeped into your bones, a heavy, oppressive presence that amplified every fear and uncertainty. This plague was different from the others. It wasn't a physical assault, but a psychological one, designed to break the spirit of the Egyptians. The darkness represented the unknown, the unseen, the primal fear that lurks within us all. It was a darkness that whispered of doubt, despair, and the fragility of human existence. Could this darkness have been caused by a solar eclipse, a volcanic eruption, or a particularly severe sandstorm? Or was it something more profound, a supernatural darkness designed to isolate and disorient, to force the Egyptians to confront their deepest fears? Whatever the explanation, the Plague of Darkness serves as a chilling reminder of the power of the unseen, and the vulnerability of even the strongest wills when confronted with the unknown. The 10th and final plague was the most devastating, the one that finally broke the pharaoh's resolve. Imagine a night of unimaginable sorrow, a night where death visited every Egyptian household, claiming their firstborn sons. The Bible describes a great cry throughout the land, the collective wail of grief as parents awoke to find their firstborn sons dead. This was a plague that targeted the most vulnerable, the most precious, striking at the very heart of Egyptian family life. This final plague was different from the others. It wasn't about destruction or chaos, but about targeted, heart-wrenching loss. It was a plague that transcended social status, affecting the pharaoh in his palace just as surely as it did the lowliest peasant. Could this plague be explained by a natural epidemic that disproportionately affected firstborn children due to social customs or dietary practices? Or was it a deliberate act of divine judgment, a final devastating blow designed to demonstrate the sanctity of life and the consequences of defying the will of God? Whatever the explanation, the death of the firstborn stands as a stark reminder of the preciousness of life and the profound grief that follows in the wake of loss. It is a universal experience that transcends time and culture, a reminder that even in the face of unimaginable tragedy, the human spirit endures. Thank you for joining us on this exploration of the 10 plagues of Egypt. We have journeyed back in time, delving into one of history's most enduring mysteries. Whether you view these plagues as divine intervention, natural disasters, or a combination of both, their impact on history is undeniable. The story of the 10 plagues serves as a reminder of the power of belief, the enduring strength of the human spirit, and the timeless themes of oppression, freedom, and the struggle for justice. It is a story that continues to resonate thousands of years after it was first told, sparking debate and inspiring awe in equal measure. Stay tuned for more fascinating journeys through history and mythology. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more informative content. Until next time, keep exploring the mysteries of our world, both ancient and modern.